Hi, I appreciate your being here. I'm Rowena Gates, and I'm going to talk about protein folding and its impact on health and well-being, and why supporting protein folding is so important. And actually, the point earlier that the body's designed to heal itself is sort of the underlying premise of what we do and protein folding in general. So why protein folding is so important is that proteins are doing everything in the body, all the systems, cardiovascular, respiratory, digestive, any of those systems are run by proteins. The immune system is an orchestration of protein functions. And very importantly, proteins are repairing all the damage, which is ongoing. We breathe oxygen, so we always have oxidation and oxidative damage, and it has to be fixed quickly, on the fly, all the time. And it's only fixed in one way, and that's by protein activities. So we're focused on proteins, a little bit more background. All proteins are made up of a chain of amino acids. They are actually defined by the DNA. In fact, the only purpose for the DNA is to be the blueprint for proteins. And each protein starts out as a chain of amino acids and must fold into a three-dimensional shape before it can function. They estimate that there's about 1 million proteins in the body. It's really not known, and in medical science, we can name about 5% of them. So we don't know what most of them are, and we certainly don't know all the interactions of proteins. So that's sort of the story. We know they make up most of our body in the structure, and they are responsible for all biochemical processes, all repair, all the systems that are operating, but we really don't know what most of the proteins are at this point. And then each protein has to fold into the 3D shape that I mentioned, and the folded shape is what determines the function of the protein. So we start with a chain of amino acids. There can be less than 10 or more than 1,000 amino acids in a chain, and there must be the right number of them, of the right type, in the right order for the protein to fold. So it's incredibly complex what's going on in there. And the amino acid chains have side chains that have bonding in them that hold it together in the three-dimensional shape. So this is our example of it. It's the push puppet, because the push puppet has these threads that act as the bonds, and it won't work until it's up and the bonds are in place and it forms its three-dimensional shape. Then it's something we recognize, and so that you have a reminder of it, we have push puppets for you. So there's some here, and there's some also at our booth, which is sort of right out at the end of the hall in the foyer. And so that's the protein for you. It's pretty simple. Going from this to this is what our whole purpose in health and well-being is to get these proteins into the functional shape so they can work for us. And to give you an idea of how important this is, last year, every year, science identifies its 5 top breakthroughs of the year, and the advances in predicting the folded shape of proteins was considered the #1 breakthrough of 2021. And preceding that, Nature magazine recognized the importance of artificial intelligence being used to predict protein shapes, and came out with the comment, this will change medicine, it will change research, it will change bioengineering, it will change everything. That's how important these folded proteins are. And the reason they're so important in medicine is that most of our pharmaceuticals today are doing something to proteins. They're an inhibitor, they block a receptor, they accelerate things, and they're all manipulating proteins. I mentioned earlier how complicated they are. There's many interactions that we don't know, and when that comes down to pharmaceuticals, those often show up as side effects. It's like, who knew we shut down this receptor, but then something else happened over there? And the body is so complex, it is designed to heal itself. But going after proteins one at a time is effective, it works, it's the heart of current medical science. It's just that it has its downside. And we have a technology that doesn't go after the individual proteins. It simply supports all protein activity. The body is designed to heal itself. It knows what to do. Our approach is simply to support that and not override it. And so this is called NanoV technology. It's a device where you breathe from it, sort of like I'm breathing from the mic, or you use a nasal cannula to use it. It prevents the unfolding and damage to proteins, and it also helps repair and rejuvenate the body because it's protein activities that do that work. And so what we're doing is we're influencing the environment that proteins are in, which is the cellular water. All proteins are immersed in water. So we simply go in and influence the water in a way that supports the protein folding event. And instead of going through that myself, I'm going to run a video that walks you through what's happening, because it's a 3D animation and you can see what's happening, and that makes it easier than if I just try to describe it to you.
Energy for life. More than 99% of our body's molecules are water. The DNA and proteins, which are the second most abundant compound, are embedded in this water. Hundreds of thousands of different proteins execute every process in your body. Tens of thousands are found in each cell. Folded proteins are essential for cellular activity that keeps us vital, healthy, and alive. Unfortunately, folded proteins and the DNA are constantly damaged by free radicals during oxidative stress. When unfolded, they lose their function. This reduces cellular activity. The results are loss of performance, aging, and in a worst-case scenario, chronic disease. Fortunately, repair and regeneration are possible and occur when proteins fold and refold. Always, along with free radicals, signaling molecules known as excited or activated oxygen are generated and emit a specific electromagnetic energy. This energy is absorbed and transferred by water, forming layers of ordered water on its contact surfaces. These layers are also called exclusion zone or EZ water. It is more densely packed and has a higher energy state. They provide the energy required for proteins to fold. When enough layers surround a protein, the folding happens spontaneously and the protein starts functioning. This essential biological process can now be assisted by the patented NanoV technology. In NanoV devices, the same signal is emitted into water droplets in an airstream, leading to the formation of ordered water vapor. Universities and test facilities verified the signal's quality and intensity as bioidentical, and that the vapor contains EZ water. Inhaling NanoV's ordered water vapor affects the entire body. Thanks to the unique properties of water, NanoV's specific energy is transferred from vapor droplets to cells and ultimately to proteins. Here, NanoV provides much-needed energy to the protein folding process. Not only DNA molecules repair faster, but all cellular activities improve with proper protein function. By assisting their folding, functions are not lost, but are reinstalled. Therefore, NanoV is used to address chronic disorders, to slow cellular aging, and to recover faster from mental or physical performance. Now, you can enhance vitality by boosting regeneration at the cellular level. NanoV provides more energy for life.
So, we are lucky because at this meeting we have Hans Eng, who's the person behind NanoV. He's sitting right here, tall German fellow. He's even smarter than he looks. and he's super nice. So feel free to ask him more questions while we've got him. And a little bit more on the uses of NanoV. It's, if you can imagine repair and regeneration, recovering from oxidative stress damage, then you can imagine how valuable it is to athletes, because they're constantly burning more oxygen than we do, sometimes 100 times more oxygen than what we burn, and they need a lot of repair and regeneration. The same is true for mental performance. If you are thinking and concentrating really hard, it's kind of like running a marathon or something. You're burning a lot of oxygen in your brain. And when you get tired and fatigued and brain fog, those are indications that your body is not kept up on the repair side. And so we have a lot of use for mental performance. In fact, that's one of the areas where we see the fastest growth is people wanting to get that edge in clarity and mental performance. Then healthy aging. That decline in aging is accumulation of oxidative damage. And then chronic illnesses, very similar to that. People want to avoid them or reverse them if they've got them. And oxidative stress is implicated in every chronic illness. So to give you an idea of the background, again, I mentioned Hans, but he's overseeing this research. These are some of the institutes that we've done research at or who have done research on NanoV. And there's a lot of scientific basis for it. I'm only going to touch on a little bit of that because we don't have time to go into them in detail, but we could certainly provide you with study summaries and get information out to you if you would like it. To just walk through this really quickly, this was a large study that was done on 3 different proteins damaged in 3 different ways. All of these proteins play important roles in reducing oxidative damage. And they were either damaged by chemicals, by heat, or by oxidation. And so in this example, they're damaged by oxidation. It's a protein called alkaline phosphatase. And I'll just walk you through really quickly the lines at the bottom. The red is the damaged control. They didn't do anything to that sample. The yellow is when it was treated with a sham device, which is a device where the insides are turned off, but everything else is the same. So there's still the humid airflow and so on, but it's just not activated inside. And yellow is treated prior with a sham device, and blue is treated after the proteins are damaged with a sham device. The 2 active devices are up top, and you can see that the purple, which shows prior treatment with an active NanoV device, has a significant impact, and treating after the damage has an even greater impact. And these are profound recovery of the damaged proteins compared to when they weren't treated. And then I wanted to include this as just a second example. This time, alkaline phosphatase was damaged by heat. And you can see that if it's heat damage, pre-treating doesn't help. But treating after the heat damage has a profound effect and is regenerative. And so each of the proteins might respond differently. In some cases, when it was pre-treated, it was better than post-treatment. So the answer is that it's both preventative and it's recovering damage that's already existed. And if you have the choice, you want to do it before and after you damage your proteins, or just do it regularly and then you're kind of catching them all. And this is another study on DNA. I mentioned the DNA is the blueprint for the proteins, and the double-strand DNA breaks are the difficult ones. When both strands are broken, one side can't replicate the other, so those are considered the dangerous strands. And they look for this in cancer treatment. When people are irradiated, it does double-strand damage, and so that's how some of the testing is done. They just damage it intentionally. In this case, it's athletes that damaged it because they're endurance athletes, and so they will have a certain amount of double-strand damage. And it's a small study, but you can see the difference of the athletes when they had the NanoV in their protocol and when they did not. And each was a 5-day protocol. So those declines in double-strand DNA breaks were between 14 and 34%, depending on the athlete. This one is also done on athletes. They're super handy because you can do oxidative damage and you don't harm them. So you can't just take an unhealthy person with a chronic disease and damage them. And this showed a 17% less blood lactate when they did an all-out exertion test and used the NanoV before they did the exertion. So it's essentially in a preventative role, 17% less blood lactate. And then similar to those, they looked at immune response, and these are improvements between 10 and 14% of indicators. They're inflammatory markers, they're indicators that the immune system is kicking in. So these are one treatment. The last sample and this one as well are just one session of the NanoV device. Brain health is super important to a lot of people. And this is showing inappropriate brain activity. And you can see from the scan, this is one session. You see the decline in red, which is the decline in inappropriate brain activity. This was a stressed executive that had brain fog and was challenged. And then before and after scan was done. And then one of the areas we love for both physical and mental performance, I'm just going to give you a couple examples of people that use the device. This is a race car team on the Nürburgring in Germany. This team won 6 out of 7 of their races last year. And they use the NanoV to stay, on the track, sharp mind, sharp body. And they're making a life-important decision every couple of seconds. And so keeping their brain performance up is really a critical, you could say, a matter of life and death. And so they've had great success. And if you look really closely, everybody look at the front fender there. There's a little Eng3. That's our company. And they liked our product so well that they put us on their car. And we, in terms of our budget, we probably couldn't buy a set of tires for that car, but they've been very generous to feature us on the car itself as Eng3. And then, I don't know how many football players in the room. Evidently I picked the wrong examples here. But these are people I thought the people in the audience might know. Nick Foles, a Super Bowl champion, MVP, and Justin Simmons, a Pro Bowler and all-pro football players. And they're some of the examples of the high-end, more extreme athletes that use it. We also have a lot of baseball players, many all-star baseball players. A lot of them are pitchers. Right now, Nick Castellanos, Matt Boyd, James Paxton, a whole bunch of them will use it for faster recovery. And so those are just athletes. I'm mentioning athletes because they're better known, usually. And just the takeaways here, NanoV is effective for prevention, repair, regeneration. It's used for both mental and physical performance and to accelerate recovery if people are ill. And the first part of our career, the first half of it was mostly addressing chronic illnesses. And the second half has shifted, along with Al, to be addressing wellness and prevention. And then it's scientifically validated, and it's easy to use and implement. And so don't forget your puppet. And then you want to go from here to here. And we are right outside in the hall if you want more information or want us to send study results or anything like that. And remember, feel free to speak with Hans because he knows all about this science. I think we do. Until he kicks me out of here, we do.
I'm not really clear on what you're doing to the water. Are you actually restructuring it so that the hydrogen bonds are different from so what is actually happening to the water?
The water molecules are going to be, at the end of the day, they're called coherent domains, but they're going to be, the water molecules are going to be more closely packed together. So it changes the nature of the water. And I'm going to let Hans take it from there, if you don't mind, because if that's a particular interest, then he can walk through it. I think I wanted to take one more question because she was ahead.
How long is a nano session?
There's 3 devices, and they're different levels of power and different levels of session times. The most powerful is 15 minutes, and the least powerful one is an hour, is more equivalent. Almost everybody does longer sessions than sort of the minimum or multiple sessions a day. So, how's our time? Do we have time for you to answer this? Is there time for him to answer a question about this?
Another minute or so.
Okay, you got a minute. Hey.
Okay, I will try to make it very easy and very fast for this. You saw in the little movie, in the animation, that a layer of so-called ordered water or denser packed water molecules are building around the protein, which is a surface in the water. Yeah? So to achieve this, and there's a lot of books out there, a lot of description out there, a lot of publications out there about so-called ordered water or EZ water. To achieve this, that happens exactly at this point. Somewhere else, water has to absorb a very specific electromagnetic energy, and that creates a coherent domain. And coherent domains are running like a wave very fast to everything that is water, including humidity. When the humidity is high enough, in our case, we need minimum 80% humidity. That is why we have the humidifier on the device. Then this coherent domains runs very fast to the body of water. And wherever is a surface, the ordered water is being created. Yeah? Ordered water is created always. Ordered water is a specification of water. Otherwise, it wouldn't be water. Yeah? So ordered water is in every bottle that we have here. If you like to have a little bit more water in the bottle, you put it, easy water, you put it in the sunshine. Yeah, because special energy out of the sunshine is creating these coherent domains. The problem is you cannot transport ordered water from one area to the other. When you have it created in the bottle, in the moment you move it away from the surface, in the moment you drink it, it's gone. Yeah? So we cannot bulk produce ordered water in a bottle, drink it. Yeah? We have to produce it at the point where it is needed. And that is what our technology is doing. And all these steps to achieve this, we have to prove in studies so that we actually can say and claim this. We are a medical device, that we can claim this. We are producing at first a specific electromagnetic energy that is absorbed. We create the coherent domains that is traveling for a long distance. And we are creating then on surfaces like a protein these ordered water. You can measure this, you can see this on a microscope. And the next step is when that happens to proteins, Rowena showed it in the clinical studies, these proteins are fold, they snap in that 3-dimensional direction, and they start to work.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being here.